The following podcast, I sat down with Binyamin Greenspoon. He is a legend in this field. Again, these are some of my favorite podcasts because I get to sit down with someone who has well over 20 years of experience. He runs Nesivos in Lakewood. He had so much amazing insights. We talked about connection. We talked about just everything, like really beautiful, beautiful stuff, and about opening ourselves up and being vulnerable, and talking about roles of parents, and just literally, I could have went on for another 5 hours. I spared you guys that. We did go on for around 2 hours, and I could have went for a couple more. It was wonderful, and I think you'll love it. Remember to like, follow, subscribe, and support our advertisers. That's a new one. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the Brainstorm podcast. And now, your host, Sonny Perlman.
We're live. Okay, I just found out that you are from Monsey, and I was saying, I'll just say it on the pod because you just have a very out-of-towny feel to you. And I knew you from Lakewood, so I had no idea that you were from Monsey.
I grew up in old Monsey.
Like the real Monsey.
I lived on Park Lane. Park Lane, I was 11 Park Lane.
Park Lane is like South Monsey even.
It was like the edge of Monsey at the time.
Right.
And there was another house, and then there was these woods.
Ronnie Greenwald lived on Park. Is that, I'm talking about Park Avenue.
Maybe.
Okay, Park Lane. No, I'm wrong about it.
And there were two from Midden on the block. And it was very out of town. Monsey was very out of town back then. We all knew each other, and it was they were different ages. And eventually, they knocked down the dead end over there, and they connected it to Remsen. And that have that whole new development over there. It's a very Hasidic neighborhood now.
Right.
So I moved out of Park Lane to Blueberry Hill when I was 12. And that
Blueberry Hill had houses? I always think of it as like apartments.
There's Blueberry Hill apartments, but that whole neighborhood is called Blueberry Hill. And we bought a house over there, and that was like huge. We had 5 bedrooms. That was a mansion.
Really?
5. Yeah, my parents thought it was so big. They were like, we can make simchas in this house. And my bar mitzvah was in the house. You couldn't breathe.
Was it a high ranch? Was it like...
Yeah, the high ranch. Yeah, it was like this house.
Right. When I walked in, when I came to my house is also a high ranch. It's a little bit more extended, but I thought it was full-blown mansion. Now I look around, everybody's like, these houses are getting crazy. Something funny, actually, is that I've been wanting to kind of move into a bigger house. All my kids got together and said, we like our house. Like, you don't need more than this. This is a good house.
Yeah.
And they were having a little rebellion. This is like our house. Why are we moving out of our house?
They got connected to the house.
Yeah.
Got attached to it. They have a relationship with the house.
I think people do. They get very connected to where they grew up. I mean, it makes sense. It's been a lot of years. Anyway, okay, so now I got you. Wanted to get you for a while, and I was telling you before that one of my favorite podcasts, some of my favorite podcasts, are about people that are doing this for as long as we have, or I maybe a little bit longer. I'm not sure, but not much. But the first time we met, we'll just tell the story. It was with, I'm forgetting his name.
Rob-Atesh.
Rob-Atesh. Okay, so we met because Rob-Atesh came to our place and came to me and said, I'm going to run the coolest canoeing trip, a 3-day canoeing with the best food and probably great coffee. I think he's doing coffee now. I don't remember. But he was going to do all this stuff. He had no idea what was coming his way. But we were like, this is really cool. So we went on this canoeing trip. And you were on...
I was there for Shabbos.
You were the only Shabbos. There was a little rebellion on that Shabbos. Do you remember a rebellion? All the guys left.
They got mad about something.
They got
being
mad.
Too religious about something. I don't remember what it was.
I learned a great thing on that one. Okay, I'll tell you. You just reminded me. So first of all, the trip was wild. Oh, I was just telling you about the canoe thing. You only knew it as a story. Okay, fine. On that trip, somebody got upset. I remember what it was. The guys stole alcohol from one of the staff's rooms or something like that, and the staff got furious about it. I don't remember what it was exactly, but the whole trip, everybody was like, there wasn't like a cohesion. Like there was a lot of good guys and they liked each other, but it was like it was from 5 different groups.
Right.
And then somebody got mad at the staff, and they all got up. We were having this big meal with all the staff and the guys. Every guy got up and left, and they walked out of the hotel, whatever that was. They walked out of this little motel place, and they went to the side, and everything shifted. And I watched, because this is early on. This is like 3-4 years for me in the field. Like this is 25 years ago, something like that. I don't remember what it was. And they all went out, and they, like group therapy, they talk about like cohesion. It happened in a moment, but it was rebellion against us. So all this, like I watched it, and first I was like, okay, how do we fix this? And I was like, it just fixed itself. I think that was one of the first times I really got that connection is the answer to everything. Like now that I had the group together, all I had to do is hook it back into that group, and everything could happen. And that's exactly what happened. Like the trip was very cool. And instead of trying to like change the rebellion, I went in and started discussing it with them and stuff. But what happened was it was like this magic of all of a sudden they were one group. And I believe till today, most of these guys are very close, still close because of that trip. And they talk about it, and I saw the moment that it happened. I don't know if you remember any of this. Do you remember any of that?
I remember that there was like, I thought it was about something about being, they felt like we were being too religious.
Yeah,
You know,
something. It was something they were upset about.
Yeah.
It was.
And there was like this whole, but I do remember it was like a spread apart. And then I keep hearing about that trip, and when are we, it's 24 years later?
Something like that, yeah.
25 years later?
But you keep meeting people. They talk about
I got a great
that
story
trip.
from that trip. I say over all the time.
Tell me. Because
All the
that's
time
my
I say
story.
over
I
this
just
story.
told you. I have a couple stories from that trip, but that's my story.
Yeah, I say
Yuda
over this story
Klinkowicz was
all the
on that
time.
trip. Anyway,
Yeah, Klinkowicz, right?
I'm giving him a shout out
Yeah.
because I love him so much. All right.
So
What's your story?
There's a lot of people working with kids who think or believe that they need to kind of go down to the kids' level in order to be able to feel like the kids can relate to them, or they
Be
can
cool.
relate to the kids. Be cool.
Yeah.
Be cool. There are some therapists who actually curse with the kids. I don't really understand it.
No, you understand it. You just don't agree with it. You understand it because it's an easy way in. It's like a sneaky trick. But it's
Well,
not
I don't
right.
understand how it's beneficial. How it's beneficial for the client, or even how it's beneficial for the relationship, because they know that's not you. Like, well, the story
Okay.
kind of brings
All right,
this
let's hear
point
the story.
out.
Let's hear the story. I agree completely, but I want to hear the story.
It was in the middle of that trip, going canoeing down the Delaware, and camped out on an island. And Rob really could relate to these kids, because he's like, he went through his own stage when he was younger. He's got a real colorful personality, and he's really somebody who kind of has enough shared experiences that he has what to be able to relate to. But he went over to one of the kids, and he said something kind of cool. I don't remember what it was, but like used teenage slang from back in that day. And the kid pulled out a knife and got up in his face. And he threw a couple F-bombs, used the Shaiman Fighters a couple of times. And he says, "Who do you think you are? What are you talking to me like that?" And he says, "Rabbi, what's the name from our place? Rabbi...
Chaim Glantz?
Rabbi Glantz. He doesn't need to talk to us like that. Why can't you just be real like Rabbi Glantz?" And Rob came back, and he was like blown away. He was like, a kid got up in my face with a knife. He just wanted me to be real. And to me, that like really brought out the point how people are looking for realness. People are looking to have a genuine experience. You don't have to be the same as them.
Right.
I've seen some very, very yeshivish people become really, really close with people that are completely not religious at all, with all their yeshivishkeit, with all of their yeshivish sprach. And if you start talking to them, well, I mean, we don't do a good, me and you, and we're like old hats by now. We don't do a good job being teenagers today.
No.
We don't know how to.
I wasn't even good at being a teenager when I was a teenager.
That's not what I heard.
I mean, I did a lot of things, but I wasn't. Oh, okay, fine. I'll take it back. No, I wasn't good at it. I was always off.
Cut off?
I'm not cutting anything out. I did a lot of crazy stuff, but I always was like weirded out by like being cool, and I would just be yourself. Like I was being myself, and everybody else was trying too hard, which kind of gave me like legendary status because I didn't care. So everybody is curious about the guy who doesn't care. Like what's he doing? What's he up to? Anyway, I felt awkward when I was a teenager. That's what I'm trying to say.
I learned a lot over the years from different experiences with different groups. And now I was working with real yeshiva guys in that program before. We had a camp for like yeshiva guys who needed something more to do during the summer. And this opened my eyes up to, there's another whole world out there of people who maybe have the same background, same family background, but they're dealing with a lot more stuff. A lot more pain, a lot more disconnect.
But I think what you're pointing out, which is so important, is that they are not looking for another teenager.
No.
They're looking for someone who represents a parent or represents a guide to look at them and notice them and see them. That's what they're looking for.
Right.
They don't want the cool guy. All the greatest people I've seen in the field are all completely themselves.
Yeah.
I work with Chaim Glantz. He's a Chassidish guy in Levush. Like he's never at any point changed any of that. Now, it happens to be I wear my own Levush, but I was saying that has nothing to do with being cool. That's how I am. But he has stayed a Chassidish guy, and every single guy knows. He loves me, cares about me, wants to know more about what's happening. That's the key here. They're not looking for another friend. They got enough friends. That's not the issue.
Right.
So I think that was a great lesson. I think that's a great lesson. Shimon Russell used to say that a lot. Shimon was working with us then. And he was, I think even on a video we had, it was like, we're not there. He said in his British accent. I wish I could do it, a British accent. We're not there to be the friend. Okay, I take it back. Anyway, another Lakewood guy.
Yeah.
So first of all, could I ask you, could I go all the way back and say, why did you decide to get into this at all? Like helping this type of guys?
I don't know that I have a practical answer for that because I didn't choose it. I can tell you what happened, but I do think. Do you mind if I say like a word about this? Yeah, you don't mind? Like I can talk
I'm cool with words.
Religious stuff on the pod?
I even sometimes say religious stuff.
Okay. I was talking to somebody last night. You know, it's like season, people get all serious, and a lot of them have trauma about their, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur time. Because if you think you're a bad person and you think you're going to Gehenna, this is like when that really hits you in the face. You get Madin and all that type of stuff. They get all negative and down and depressed and scared and really disconnected. We were talking about change. He's got a lot of issues. We were talking about change. And I asked him, how do you think people change? At first he gave me an answer, which he realized afterwards is not really true. First he just said, you just push through it. Which is not, we don't see that really working. You kind of got to face yourself. You got to be able to work your way through it. You got to find a way to internally change. You can't just push through it. And he did tell me that it's facing yourself, finding honesty, recognizing the things you need to work on, and doing small steps at a time. And then he says to me, what do you think? Because so there's season of change, right? We're davening and we're doing tshuva and all that stuff. And I said to him that I think it's all true, but I do believe we're presented with opportunities in life, and that's what we daven for. Sometimes, like for example, somebody goes to Israel, and it's like a whole different set of opportunities that open up for them. And now all of a sudden, like, they're not limited by their past negative experiences. They have a whole bunch of different people that they have a different relationship with. All of a sudden that they can experience life in a different way, different flavor. And the same thing might be when someone gets a job for the first time. They start making money and they start being successful. There's an opportunity that presented themselves. And sometimes it's people you meet, and sometimes it's where you're at, and sometimes it's a special Rebbe, or it's a mentor that walked into your life. And that's what we daven for. We daven for that we should have the siyata d'shmaya to have the right opportunities. That we're going to try to work on the stuff that we need to fix, and we're going to grab an opportunity when it presents itself. I feel just very, very blessed that I was granted a lot of opportunities, which I can't really make sense out of. Working in this field, it wasn't because I never thought I was going to be a therapist. Never thought so. Didn't think I was going to be a therapist. And when I was younger, I think a lot of people think when they're in school, they're thinking about teaching or how they would give something over. And I definitely, that crossed my mind a lot about how I would want to be able to give things over or teach, explain things. But I never thought that I'd be working with teenagers. I don't know, maybe teaching a class somewhere. I did teach. Right. I taught high school. I taught grade school. I gave classes for Bali Tshuva. I did, and I enjoy teaching. I still teach.
But is there something that like eventually was like, oh, this is right, or even that was like, we're going with whatever God gives us. We're just moving in that direction.
Yeah, I think it was just like, but I think that God's going to give us many opportunities, and it's part about like what we find that we really connect to. You asked me what I wanted to talk about. I said, let's talk about relationships, connection. I think everything's about connection and relationship.
Couldn't agree more.
There's so many different opportunities out there. The world is endless. There's endless opportunities. When we find opportunities, what can we connect to and feel like this means something to us, that we fit into it? I can really find myself in it. I can find meaning in it. I can be a part of it. I can be proud of it.
You're talking about like a connection to a thing, like to an idea.
We have connections. We have connections to ideas. We have connections to purpose. We have connections to religion. Talking about
why do you think connection is the most important thing? I'm usually on the hot seat on this one. So I'm glad you brought it up. I'm like I can't stop talking about connection. That's my. But why do you think it's like? Why do you think it's the core of everything? What is like? What's the depth behind that?
Why do I think God created the world that way?
I guess so. Or like, maybe the question is different. No, I'm not going that deep. Maybe when people are struggling, often we go connection is. I thought that's kind of where you were going. Connection is a huge part of this healing. Why? That's maybe the question. I don't know if I want to go hugely existential. Like I'm sure you could answer that, but I think it would go over my head. Maybe I don't know. But I'm saying like, why is connection? I mean, I see it over and over and over again. But like, why do you think connection is such a big part of the healing? Why can't I'll give it even a better like. actually, Eli Arenthal made this joke in one of the earliest podcasts I had. He said it was a quote from somebody, but I don't remember what it was. He said the only self-help book that was useful to me was How to Build a Bookshelf for Self-Help Books. Because, it's a joke about how self-help books don't seem to be helping people as much as they should be. It makes sense. And it seems that we need help.
Right.
It's like we do. So why can't I just go and self-help my way and make myself better? Why does that not seem to work?
Okay.
I'm seeing it not work. So that's really the question.
Okay. I think I only have an existential answer for that.
Go for it.
It says that Hashem created the world, Olam Chesed Yiboneh. Hashem created the world built on the midah of Chesed. Hashem wants to do Chesed, and Hashem operates the world through Chesed. I think most
through loving kindness.
Through loving kindness. Yeah. And the simple way of looking at it is that it's part of our mission in this world is to spread goodness, right? To spread goodness and give tzedakah and do good things for people. And that's all true. In order for there to be opportunity to help other people, it has to be that we're incomplete on our own. If we'd all be completely self-sufficient, there would be no opportunity for one person to help the next. No one would need to get married. You wouldn't need to be part of a community. You wouldn't need to have really any interaction to give it. There wouldn't be a sense of, you wouldn't need a minyan. You wouldn't everybody would just be on their own island.
Wow.
The world wouldn't exist the way it exists. So God made us incomplete. God made us incomplete. I cannot feel fully happy.
So that we could be more godlike and give to we
each
should
other.
do chesed with each other.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that a lot. Okay.
So in order for me to be able to feel not lonely.
That's my OCD check. Yeah, in order for you to not feel.
That I shouldn't be lonely. And I shouldn't feel, everybody needs to feel loved. Loved is only to someone else. You have self-love, but it's not sufficient. Right. If no one else loves you, you're not going to feel loved. If you only love yourself and nobody else loves you, you're an egotistical maniac.
It's interesting because a lot of therapies are hyper-focused on just self-love, not hyper-focused on this. So you're actually saying something. I don't think it's like the biggest chiddush because there are a lot of therapies that do talk about the therapeutic relationship and connection and what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about
and then sponsorship. You're talking about like the sober community.
Yeah, the sober community.
It's all about
connection and stuff like that.
And
Could I tell you an amazing? I'm gonna. You're going with Dvar Torahs. I'm gonna tell you one of my favorites.
You didn't know there's gonna be like religious.
Yeah, let's go religious, baby. So my wife's grandfather, he was a Holocaust survivor, one of the most epic human beings alive. Anyway, he said Dvar Torah a couple of times. I've heard him say it a couple of times, and I love it so much, even though I'm a Yeki. Yekis don't do Mayim Achronim, but it's a Mayim Achronim vart. So the Mayim Achronim Dvar Torah is like this. Mayim Achronim is you wash your hands at the end of the meal, and it's to remove the melech Sodom, it's the salt of Sodom from your hands, so that you don't put them in your eyes and it blinds you, right? So then the Yekis, the Germans, they're like, we don't do that anymore because there's no more melech Sodomus, so we just don't do that anymore. He was explaining, because he was not a Yeki, he said, the whole thing is an allegory. He says, before you eat, you're hungry. When you're hungry, you sit around, who else is hungry? You're thinking about other people. You're like, oh, other people. You're empathetic to other people because you're still hungry. So you look around, who's hungry? And you're invited to eat. At the end of your meal, you're full. You don't see all the people that need help. You don't see all the hungry people out there. So at the end of the meal, you put the midah of Sodom, which was the lack of hospitality in your eyes, and it blinds you.
Wow.
So the idea of the Mayim Achronim is to wash that off your hands, even though you're full. You should never think that you should still see the people that are suffering around you. So that's how we end the meal, because that's the problem with getting everything.
Right.
When we have everything, we forget that other people need us.
Right.
So it's similar.
Right. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. It is great.
I love that one.
I think also about when you're talking about step work and you talk about finding God, it's really the same thing. We're not really capable of solving things on our own. We need help. So we can get a certain amount of help from people, and we need to reach out to God for help also, because we have our limitations. And most people are too afraid to say that they have limitations. And this is something that I will tell you, something else that kind of flies in the face of a lot of therapy.
Why are they afraid to say that?
Why are people afraid to?
I'm just saying on a logical note. Someone said to me earlier today, he said, I don't like to ask for help. I feel weak.
Right.
I'm like, what's the hardest thing you can think of doing right now? Asking for help. Wouldn't doing the hardest thing you could think of doing that's strong.
Right.
Like if you're doing the hardest thing, like if I could live up the hardest, that would be strong. But why? Now I lost the question. But how do I start the question?
Why are people so afraid to reach out for help?
Yeah. Why is that a problem?
It's very vulnerable. It's very vulnerable. It doesn't feel so protected.
Right. So that feels the weakness is not it's the weakness is, I guess you want to talk about relationships, because I try to describe like my relationship to my wife with some of the guys, and then the best way I could describe, I describe it in many different ways, but one of the best ways is that if I could this is very visual, but I could dig into my chest, take out my heart, and just hand it to her, and I'd be like, here, you take care of it. And it's like your heart without your chest, without everything is protected. I don't need to do it. But when you love someone and when you ask for someone to be intimately connected to you, you're handing them your most vulnerable part, and they could stamp on it and crush it. When people talk about like getting their broken heart, it's almost literal.
Yeah.
Like I handed you the heart and you broke it. So I think that's what you're talking about with the vulnerable. Like if I ask you to help me, now you have a piece of my heart in your hand, and now what are you going to do with it? And if I've been hurt before,
right,
I don't know if I want to do it again.
Yeah, and this is a big part of the challenge that we have working with these youth, is a lot of them have been hurt by other people. Yeah, and that's why it's so hard for them to connect. So hard for them to trust. It's so hard for them to reach out for help. It's so hard for them to be vulnerable. It's so hard for them to be real with other people.
All right, so let me ask you a wide sweeping question, because again, when I get someone who's been doing this for a long time, I really want to know some of the answers. I have all these I try to shut my own answers off so I could hear other answers. But it seems like it's an epidemic of dissatisfied people that are hurting. Mental health seems to be, the numbers show that it's an epidemic. And when I actually sit down with parents and stuff like that, generally people are pretty good, especially because as I get older, I'm like, I have much more respect for the parents and recognize what they've gone through, and raising kids is not easy and all that stuff. They're generally loving people, really trying to take care of their kids, and yet people are almost more and more unhappy and unwell. That's the big sweeping question. Like, what do you think is going on the big level here? Unless I'm wrong, if you're seeing the same thing, the amount of phone calls I get, I'm assuming the amount of phone calls you get, it definitely feels that way.
Yeah.
What do you think is going on?
The first thing I want to say is that I think that I think that most people are really good people. I find most parents to be doing their best to be parents. They're trying hard. They're putting a lot of their physical, emotional, spiritual, financial efforts into their kids. I don't meet too many parents who don't care about their kids. A lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of confusion, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. And working with kids, young adults, some of those young adults are then become parents. I think people are really trying. I think people are searching. They really want to find. They really want to find meaning in life. They want to find purpose in life. They want to find a way that they can make a difference. And I think that is harder to find today in certain ways because everything's very commercialized. So it's kind of hard to find where you fit. And I think people are struggling with this more than they did in the past. I don't think people in the past thought as much along those lines. I know from like...
which lines? I'm sorry.
If you ask them why they got up in the morning.
Yeah.
And like why they do what they do in their life. Most of them, like people that are over 60, I think most of them will not tell you because this is what made me feel fulfilled. This is what made me feel purposeful in life. This gave me satisfaction. They'll tell you, like, I got up, I did my job. I came home, I spent time with my kids.
They almost don't understand the question.
They don't understand the question.
Right? They're like, I don't understand. Are you supposed to sleep?
Right.
What are you doing?
Yeah, what are you supposed to do? Like, you got to do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
So they didn't think as deeply. They didn't, I think people are searching more. And when they don't have purpose.
Why are they searching more?
I think it's just the times we live in. I think part of it is like where the world is at.
I think it's partially that when you get everything that you need, everything's taken care of, then you start thinking more because you have time to think.
You have time to think. And at the same time, where people's lives are very hectic now. That question, I beg to differ on that question.
What do you mean?
On that statement, people have more time today. I don't think that's true.
I don't know if they have more time. It's just that they're not concentrating on getting the butter and churning the butter. I'm not saying lahavdil. I don't know how to say it another way. Like there was definitely a like, how do I go out and make a living and get it done? And it was closer to survival as you go further back.
True.
Now it's not about survival. Right. It's about
after it's survival, it's going to be about living. And living, there's different levels of living. There's like just being able, you know about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So if you're just worried about putting bread on your table and being able to butter it, you don't have space inside your head to think about like more complex things in life.
Right.
If you're struggling to pay the rent or if you're trying to figure out how to, buy new shoes for your kids. So, shelter, food, clothing, education, like if that's where we're at, so then that's where
that's all you're thinking about.
That doesn't seem to be today's issue. How many people do you know that are starving? Maybe from eating disorders, but not from food.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who's starving. Know anyone.
In Gaza, they're starving.
Maybe. They are not starving in Gaza. I'm making a statement. I've been getting very upset about the Gaza situation.
Yeah.
That sounds obvious to Jews, but I'm upset that they keep saying we're fighting against Hamas and not the Palestinians. And I'm starting to get upset about that. You don't have to agree or disagree. I don't need to get you canceled. But what I'm trying to say is that we have a much bigger issue than fight. Like, there's like a mushel here because like everybody's like, because to be politically correct, they say we're fighting Hamas, we're not fighting the Palestinians, right? But I believe that psychologically, I'm just saying, like I'm saying a little mushel is like constantly we're saying like, oh, the problem is addiction. He's drinking. Oh, that's the problem. That's not the problem. That's a result of a problem. That is the solution to the problem. That's what it is. It looks like the problem, but if you try to kill that off, you forget that there's 2 million people sitting there hating us.
Right.
So I'm saying that's not the problem. So I'm just making that statement. I don't know why you said Gaza, you got me triggered. What am I supposed to do?
That's okay. I think even in the worldview, the things that are being spoken about are not so much about people's basic needs. There are people starving in Africa. You don't hear anything about it. You don't hear anything about it. There are people who have no homes or running water, and you don't hear anything about it. It's not the world that we live in. We want to be busy with more complex type of questions. People's rights, people's being treated fairly. These are all new things. Our parents didn't talk about this stuff. Life wasn't fair. It was more about survival.
It's interesting. Yes. I mean, they were talking about it, but I think the only people who were talking about it were the intelligentsia, meaning we got democracy in this country. If you look at the founding fathers and their papers, they're having all these discussions. What is the purpose? What, like the right, the freedom to pursue happiness. Like, what is that? Like,
they were way ahead of their times.
1700s?
They were way ahead of their times. Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, they're absolutely ahead of their times. It's like,
so
it was right at the same time they're talking about the freedom to bear arms. Like, you want to pursue happiness and you want to be able to kill people at the same time in self-defense.
Maybe there's a connection.
Maybe there's a connection. I don't know.
Maybe there's a connection. Yeah, but it was always, I believe that we're all living like the rich. We look back at the royalty, and you hear these horrible stories. Like if you ever look at stories of royalty, and everybody's screwing each other over and living these depressing lives, and there's anxiety and depression, and it's all happening only in the royalty. But you don't read about what's happening with the general population. I feel like we're all royalty now. I feel like something has happened that's so beautiful that we're all royalty, but we have no idea what to do with it.
Yeah.
I don't think the royalty ever knew what to do with it.
Yeah.
So these are I guess it's another way of saying white people problems.
I think there's a lot of real goodness that has come out. I think there's more people that are giving tzedakah than ever before. There's more people involved in chesed. I mean, it's just amazing. You look at how many chesed organizations there are and how many gemachs there are. It's incredible. It's really incredible. I am sure there's no shortage of volunteers in Chaverim and Monsey.
Right.
Or even in Atzala and even on the fire department. People want to help. People want to make a difference.
I've been absolutely shocked by exactly what you're saying. I know I saw this and that, but I was telling you earlier that we have this organization, the neighbors in our village, and we work together. The amount of people that have perfectly good lives, they're doing fine. They have families of their own. They just want to add some goodness to somebody's life. The amount of guys that are coming out to do that it blows my mind. And it makes me feel a little weirdly selfish because I'm doing this as a profession. And I'll go above and beyond in a million different ways. And I guess that's how I volunteer. But when I want to take some downtime, I don't think who should I help more? Because I guess I'm tired. And I feel like these guys have been working all day. And then they're like, who could I help?
Right.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
For me, I'm how can I veg out so I could get a
So
little
maybe
rest?
it's special people problems.
Ooh.
I think so. I think that we're getting closer to Mashiach times, and it's all of life stuff comes together. Tremendous amount of goodness, also a lot of confusion. You want to do well. You want to do well. You want to really feel like a good person inside it. You want to feel really good and purposeful, and you're going to make a difference. And if you don't find that opportunity, you feel very, very not satisfied. Very not satisfied. I think if I didn't have any opportunity to do goodness in my life, I think I'd be depressed. I don't think I could just go to work and do a computer job and go home and go to sleep. It wouldn't do it for me.
So you think that we're maybe at a time period that meaning is a requirement?
Meaning feels like a necessity.
It feels like it's a necessity. Like just having a job, just getting out of bed, just saying, getting up, it's just not going to do it for us anymore.
I think for a lot of people, I think fewer and fewer people are those types of people that can just go to work 9 to 5. That doesn't exist anymore anyway. But just go to work, come home, I don't know, spend whatever it is, an hour or two with their family, and have nothing else in their lives, and that really fills them up. I think there's fewer and fewer people like that. And you see it all the time. Everyone's starting a new project, and everyone's got a new thing that they're into, and, I don't know, it just never stops. Look at the signs in shul about all the new things that are starting. They have the Beinu project, and you have the Shabbos afternoon project, and you have the before Shabbos project, and the Monsey Shabbos thing, and it's nonstop. I didn't have this growing up.
No,
didn't exist.
No, everybody just went to work, came home, and
Yes.
I don't even remember like who were the amazing people when we were kids. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Now you got like I got a podcast every single day of the year with another someone who's like making a massive difference in this world. When I think back to when I was a kid, like as a kid, I can think of a handful of people. So you're right. I mean, at least from my own experience, I'm sure there were plenty of people. We didn't have social media, so maybe they wasn't getting around. But like you're saying we're at the end of time. So the flip side of that is people that are not having a life of meaning, and that looks like hell.
Right.
That looks like addiction. That looks like mental health issues. That looks...
Correct.
You a Viktor Frankl fan?
I am not ascribed to any specific person, but if you're talking about like life needing meaning, I think it's simple to say that everybody has to have meaning in life. But it seems that people need to feel more purposeful in like what they do, not just in like I could have meaning in life because I don't know, I'm providing for my family. That's meaningful. Like they need to be able to feel fulfilled in what they're doing for society and how they're spending their time and where they're putting all their energy in during the day. I think there's another really important piece to this.
Yeah.
And this I don't think this is part of society moving forward. I think this is part of society, the disintegration of community and sense of belonging. We talk about how people need to belong, people need to have connection. I think that there was less individualism. People thought of themselves less in selfish terms. They were part of. And when you're part of a group, you could feel good with what your group is doing and what your group identity is. So a child feels part of their family. Their family is part of, let's say, a shul, part of a greater community. You're part of your school system. You're part of your city. And that gives us meaning with like whatever is going on in that system.
Right.
And there's been much more individualism. Everybody's talking about like every person has to, does it work for you? Does it, like, where do you fit in? Like, are you getting your needs met? Like, it's very, very self-focused.
Right.
It's a very, like, almost a selfish place. It's much harder to find purpose, meaning, like, have life figured out, especially at a young age, when all alone. If it's all about you.
Right.
And there's a lot of people.
I love that with the 12 steps and the community of it. In the 12 steps, one of the ideas is that if you're not doing the 12th step is where we're giving back and helping others, it goes away. Meaning we get the only way to lock into the meaning of that community, like you're saying, is when we're putting ourselves in it. And then if I'm contributing to this community, then what this community does is my meaning. I'm hooking my meaning into that community. I don't know if I've ever looked at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I really like that. I don't know if that's exactly what you're saying, but it's like I'm anchoring by contributing to this community.
My sense of self is connected to what the community
And
is.
it's way bigger than me. Like whatever this community does. I see that when this year, fascinating, because I live a life where I grew up, all my siblings are therapists and stuff like that. We grew up that if you weren't doing something meaningful at every moment, like shtus, like what are you doing? It was very intense. My Hishtadlus world is to do less meaningful things sometimes. Like stop, just be a person, you know? So one of the things that was like, oh, I can't believe you're doing it, is like watching football or following a ball, you know, following any team or anything. It was like, it's disgusting. Like in my house, that was like, it wasn't that it was like bad to play football or anything like that, but to follow a team, like what is that? It means nothing. This year, because one of the guys in the house was a football fan, he would pick a team that no one else, one of the sober livings, he picked a team that no one else was into at that point because they didn't win the Super Bowl yet, but it was the Eagles. So it was the beginning of the season, and everybody else is going for another team, and I come in and they were watching, you know, the football games on Sunday, and I said, you know what? This year, I'm an Eagles fan. I'm a diehard Eagles fan, and the whole season, I don't even think I know one person's name. I will tell you that. I don't know anything. But I was cheering for them. I was making the memes. I was like trying to I got really involved in the Eagles. They say, go Birds. It's very exciting, right? I don't know if you're familiar with any of this stuff. You're just smiling.
Well, I feel bad because I never got into sports, and I'm jealous of the people who got into sports. Now, why didn't I get into sports? Because I grew up in a family and in a, you know, old school Monsey, then a very yeshivish part, like that was all considered goyish.
It's goyish.
It was very goyish.
So this was, in my house, it wasn't goyish, it was meaningless. It was different. It's probably the same word, but it was like everything had to be huge. Everything was huge. It was nothing small. We didn't sweat the small stuff because we didn't talk about the small stuff. It was only big picture, big story. That's all we do. So that's why we all became therapists and everything. But I got to experience being part of something for no other reason but decide I committed a little bit of time to be part of it. And I think it was like a muscle to something way greater. Like we need to hook into something. So people like so crazy about their football team. They know all the names and the stats and what's happening. And I couldn't get fully into it. I think the main guy's name is Hurt, like the quarterback. That's maybe the only thing I know. I don't want to talk about how big of an ignoramus I am on this. But I felt great. And not only that, like if you're a Philly, if you're an Eagles fan, then there's like a word we say. It's like Shalom Aleichem. You say go Birds, and then they have to say go Birds back to you. I'm like, there's Minhagim here. And I tapped into the Minhagim, tagged, I'm like trying to find out like what's happening. And I felt meaning. I don't want to say it's full meaning, but it took something that was so meaningless in my eyes, but I connected to it. I hooked my anchor to it. And I put my little bit of commitment by like finding out a little bit more about it. And I felt the draw of like it's pulling me along. And I watch people who like sports. And at this point, I don't look down on them. I feel like they're finding community in a communityless world. The world is like you said, it's all this individualism that is affecting the community. I always say this. I very, very rarely find somebody who lives in the same place they grew up. Like you grew up in Monsey and now in Lakewood. Everybody you meet, we were talking to Allie earlier today, he's like, he was Brooklyn, Lakewood, Monsey. You know, like I was born in Far Rockaway, I live in Monsey. None of my siblings live in Far Rockaway anymore. So the idea of like, we are not connected to our community, It's wild to me.
Yeah, but then you went ahead and created your own community. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't get over the community you made here. It's really.
What'd you
something
think?
else. I think this is
Do
what
a
the
little
world
ad. No, I'm
needs
just
today.
kidding.
I think this is what the world needs today. It's so wonderful.
It was
Different levels of community also. We have different different circles of connection. Right? You have a spouse, that's the strongest connection. Your spouse and your kids, your immediate family. And then there's your family of origin. And then you have your extended family. And then you're going to have community.
right.
And there's different levels of community. There's very, very tight friends. And then there's friends you get in touch with less often. And then there's friends you kind of just see on weekends. And it's friends who you'll touch base with every once in a while. And we need all of that in order to really feel well-rounded. We have to have a sense of belonging in many different circles.
Yeah.
If a person just lived with themselves and their family and they just out in Maine somewhere, really cut off from the rest of the world, I don't think they would either really thrive.
Right.
They're like, we have to feel like we're part of a greater purpose.
Yeah.
But it gets very complicated when people are from a very, very young age trying to figure out, where do I fit? Where do I fit? And I don't feel like I belong. Because for whatever reason, I'm not relating to the yeshiva I'm in because I have a Kriya issue.
You know what? I believe that the Jewish nation is around. Like the only logical explanation I have for the Jewish people still being around. Sorry for cutting you off. I believe that two things are the reason we're around today logically. Besides I think it's not very logical, but any logical is Shabbos and minyan. I think that Jews always have to have 10 people in walking distance together. You didn't have a choice but to have communities wherever you went. And I don't think minyan only came later during exile. So like somebody, I don't even know who came up with the concept of minyan, but I believe the connection of Shabbos and minyan, that we can't travel and we have to be going to, you always have to have 10 men. 10 men is a community.
Right.
That means 10 men with their wives, with their kids, I've always like been amazed by that, because you have, let's say, take like I have friends that are like Reformed Jews or conservative Jews. Like, yeah, I'm part of that temple. They could drive
half an hour away.
They could drive a half an hour to the temple they like. They have nothing to do with those people if they're not with them. These aren't the people that are in their enclosure in the day to day. I mean, we always think because the internet's getting bigger and we could reach out to people that we have more connection. We literally are. We are built to only be connected to people we see on a daily basis. I think. I mean, all the studies say that, but it's pretty wild to me. Anyway, you're building communities. Can we talk about Nesivos and like all the other things that are going on down there?
There's so much going on all over the place.
Yeah, let me hear, because people don't know exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay, Nesivos is the main, is your main gig? Is everything under that umbrella? Is that how it is? Or, because you're doing so many things that I know.
When you say doing so many things, it's not really so many things, but people have a lot of different needs. And like you talk about community, you can't treat people in a void.
Right.
You can get somebody who's got a major issue, you can send them to the best therapist in the whole world. $1,000 an hour. Well, that's not even so expensive now. $10,000 an hour.
That used to be the biggest. I don't know. 1,000 still.
They still talk about millionaires. What's $1 million?
What's a millionaire?
It's like a half a house or something.
right. Millionaires.
People have $1 million shoes. If someone is lying in their bed all day and they don't have a job and they don't go out, they don't see people, that therapy is going to do nothing for them. People need to be able to have the different parts of their life working. The fancy word we use is wraparound services.
Right.
They need to do well in their home. They need to do well in their employment. They need to do well in their schooling. They need to do well socially. And they need to do well emotionally also and physically.
Right.
If someone's not getting the right nutrients, don't start them on therapy yet. Right? If someone has bad eating disorder, we got to first make sure that they have enough food in their system before we're going to get them the right therapies.
Right.
Also a growing issue, eating disorders. So Nesivos is a central location where kids could come in, kids, young adults, their families could come in where they can get the right care. So we have professionals that meet the kids, meet their families, and try to help them figure out what are the missing pieces, what's not working in their life, why is their life not working? We actually don't like to ask why. Why is kind of a judgmental question.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It makes a person have to explain it. It makes them defensive. Then they feel like that they have to give an explanation.
Therapy has, some of the older therapies, I should say it this way, are very focused on the why.
Yeah.
And I think this is a tremendous amount of disservice in it. That parents will call me, their first question to me is, what did I do wrong? What is it? And they have already come up with 500 things.
Right.
And I'm like, I think it's a disservice because we only have the future to fix. We can't really do anything in the past. It's not bad to acknowledge it. Like in general, when I started out as a therapist, it was more a psychodynamic therapist. It was all about the why, all about the unconscious and going, that's how I started out. And what I realized is that you could really ruminate and stay there. You could like really sit in it. And after a little while, I realized the only purpose to go back is to fix the future. If you're just going back to sit in the back, you could do it. But even the question, you're saying the question of why, yeah, I agree, but I don't know how you are able to heal things if you don't know why.
So we asked what? What happened?
What? Okay.
What happened? What happened that you ended up in my office today? What brought you in? Mm-hmm. What's the background? What happened to you? Now, why are you in this situation today? Right. What did you experience? What are the challenges? Okay. And that gives them an opportunity to talk about it. And
so everybody is coming for some help?
Everyone is coming for some help.
Okay. Because I've been in our place forever. I got tons of people that don't want help at all. They just come.
So sometimes parents will come without their kids because their kids are not ready to come in. Sometimes we have kids coming in without their parents because they're coming in on their own and they don't have that relationship with their parents that they can come in together. We get calls from kids on their own. Yeah. Or mentors bring them in. And it's our job, and it's a challenge because in typical therapy, you're going to, the first couple of sessions, you're going to work on establishing rapport, building a therapeutic alliance. You have all sorts of fancy words about this stuff.
Right.
Until you eventually start developing a treatment plan, and that's an ongoing live treatment plan. And like you're working on this, like trying to figure out what to do and how to go about doing that. And that could take you months.
Right.
And we have like one opportunity to do it.
Why?
You just asked me why.
What?
You just asked me why.
I'm not going to say why ever. Why is it only one time? Not.
They're coming in for like a consultation.
Oh, okay.
And they want help now.
Gotcha.
And they're not coming in for ongoing, what feels like to them, endless therapy. And for all we know, they've been in therapy or in therapy currently. Like they're coming into people who have experience working with this population, and they need guidance. They need guidance, and they need hand-holding, and they need expertise, and they need a lot of reassurances along for the process. So we have to gather whatever information is pertinent and really figure out what to hone in on.
Right.
Is it primarily a school issue? Is it primarily a mental health issue? Is there addictions? Is it a family functioning, the problem manifesting more inside the house? Or many times it's all of those. what are the first things to work on? What's first in order of importance? What's second? What's third? What resources are out there? So we'll help provide community resources. So that'll be, sometimes it's referrals to therapists, psychiatrists. We do a lot of advocacy with schools or with like community people, Rabbanim. There's a kid in the shul who's feeling a little lost. His parents not feeling well, and maybe you can get somebody to help take him to shul. We'll do stuff like that, like interventions in the community. And we provide mentorship. And one of the biggest things that we do is mentorship, because that is an easy relationship. It's a non-threatening, not too vulnerable relationship. Have somebody take you out for pizza or ice cream, as opposed to you have to sit inside a therapist's office and they're going to tell you you have to start bearing your soul. Right. That was the guy.
I'm a very big proponent of mentorship. But how do you? Is it volunteer mentors? Is it?
We pay our mentors. We don't want volunteer mentors. We want mentors that are reliable. We want mentors that we can supervise. We want mentors accountability, responsibility. Yeah, we don't want to volunteer mentors.
Good. Okay.
We do support groups for parents. We currently have 4 support groups in Lakewood. We have a support group in.
Are they different? They're different types of support, like.
It's whenever we get a new group, so they're going to have the new support group.
Okay, but it's a support group that's like for all issues, or you have like.
Well, they're for struggling kids, and there's a lot of different struggles that struggling kids have. And this is one of the things that we say all the time. You can't compare one person's situations to the next. Every person is different. Every situation is different. It makes a difference if they're the oldest kid in the family or if they're the youngest kid in the family. Is it primarily mental health? Is it primarily behavioral? Is it primarily like anger? Like each situation is different. The common denominator is there's something that's really not working, and everyone can give chizuk to the next person. Yeah, and you'll know this from working in addictions. Like however much each person's situation is different, we still have something to offer them. Right. The human experience.
Well, there's something very weird about in the addiction community, because they've separated them very strongly. Like I actually have, I think all addictions are pretty much the same thing. A lot of people kind of get upset at me for that, because, the sex addicts and the drug addicts, they're all like, they're like, that's nothing to do with me. I'm like, you're all using something from the outside to heal the inside. What's the difference what it is? It's not you, and you're using it. You're trying to make something an alternative to God. That's what's happening. That's like filling your God-size hole. So why is it different? So it's interesting. In the 12-step community, you'll have people that are like the eating disorder, eating addiction, like the food addiction people and the drug addiction. Like that's why I was asking the question, because I'm curious how it works if everybody gets lumped together, which is what I think should happen at this point. Like, guys, we all have something we're powerless over. Right. Let's work together and help each other. Because you'll say, oh, the NA people and the AA people. And to me, I don't know how it would be better. I don't want to mess with a great system, but it definitely is confusing to me that one thinks that they're completely different than the other, and they're all kind of working on the same stuff. So sometimes you'll have groups. I like the idea of a group like, oh, something's not working group. That's what you're saying.
The common denominator is they're all dealing with a certain age group. Right. They're all dealing with similar types of situations that their kids are not doing. They're not doing well. Right.
And is somebody guiding the group, or is it just themselves?
Yeah. No, we very much, because there's a lot of psychoeducation and there's a lot of advice givers in our community. Did you ever notice that?
I was just saying this to you.
Everyone's got an opinion about everything.
Do you know what I used to say to people? I'm like, if people call me about like where to go for rehab and stuff like that, I'm like, can you do me a favor? Could I just be your last phone call? Mm. Like, tell me how many more you're calling after me. It's like 15 different chefs in the kitchen.
But the funny thing is that they're giving advice about stuff that they don't specialize in. Yeah. Like everyone shul's got an opinion about how they should run the war in Gaza, right? Right. As if they have some sort of training in how to run wars. Right. Yeah.
There's a way to I know exactly.
Yeah, I know what the solution is.
But it happens to be, it's funny for us. I don't know if you experience this, but we have to like do some fundraising. So every person we're fundraising,
They tell you how to run your
they
program.
tell me this is exactly how you deal with teenagers. So one time I got frustrated and I was like, I didn't actually do it, but in my head I was like, like I walk into the real estate guy's office and be like, listen, you don't want to buy that. You want to buy something else? Go give it. It's much better. That building is so much taller. You see how tall that building is? Why are you buying that building? Look at that one's really tall. Yeah. That one's just wide. That one's tall. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, how do you know? I'm always very shocked when people are like, they take you got like a real specialty and they walk in and tell you how to do it differently. I don't mind someone who knows what they're doing telling me, but I'm very shocked at
I used to very much hesitate from saying opinions about things because, I don't know, it's just my opinion. Like, I don't know, who said I'm right?
Right.
And over time, I started realizing that I have a little bit of a responsibility to share my experience. Because there is such a thing, I don't know why I keep going back to Yom Kippur. It's a few days away. We say,
your brain, bro.
We say Yatz Nura. It's one of the one of the slachlonos that we do, right? Yatz Nura. We ask Hashem for forgiveness for giving bad advice. Who are we giving bad advice to? And I heard this from Dr. Twerski all of a sudden. This is a great story. 25 years ago, he came to Lakewood. There was a meeting of community Haskanim and Rabbanim there seems to have been a gambling issue at the time. There were, I don't know, groups of people gambling. They brought in Dr. Twerski together with somebody else. And this was one of the first questions he says in front of a whole chashuv tzibur, Rabbanim, and he says, how many times does it come over to you and someone says, I have an addictive behavior. I can't stop myself from doing something wrong. What should I do? And you've told him, why don't you work on your amunah b'tachon a little bit better? Why don't you daven with a little extra kavanah? Why don't you say a little bit more Tehillim, get another seder, open a Musar sefer? How many times has that happened? If it's happened, please raise your hand. And a whole bunch of hands went up. And he says, now you know why you do your atznura. Somebody has an addiction, that's bad advice because you're giving them false hope. They need a doctor. And it hit me at the time. We can really give people bad advice.
I love that example because what a great story. But the example is actually, it sounds like good advice.
Right?
Sounds like good advice. But
would you give that advice to someone who says, Asani, I got a real problem. I can't stop myself from drinking. I've been doing it for 10 years. Would you tell them? Do you think that would be helpful if you told them, why don't you open a little Musar sefer?
Stop it. Stop it. Why are you drinking so much? Stop drinking so much. Like, just stop it. Stop it. You want to ruin your life? That's what I say to them. I wouldn't give them that advice. Obviously, I would work on other things. But no, I get what you're saying with the advice thing. I actually earlier, I was like amazed because like I said, like I still see myself as like just this dumb guy who's not dumb. I have intelligence, but I'm saying like I make a million mistakes and like
we all make mistakes,
right? But I'm always shocked when I find out that people are listening to me. I know it sounds funny, and maybe people listening to this because they think maybe I think I'm as professional as they think I am, or something like that. I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt, not that professional, but I'm very surprised when I like say an idea, and then someone's like, "Oh, I'm doing that because you said that idea." It's really scary because it's just my idea. It's like an idea. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The giving bad advice. So you're in the advice giving business.
So it's our responsibility to take our experience. Say these are things that we find work, and these are things that we find don't work. Don't try to out-reason your kid. It's not going to work. They're coming from an emotional place. It's just not going to work. Those long schmoozim that you're telling your kids, they're just turning their ears off. They're not processing a word you're saying. Try listening a little bit more. That might work a little better.
Are you doing a lot of work to connect the parents back to their kids? Yeah. Is that a lot of the work you're doing?
A lot of the work, yeah. Yeah, a lot of focus on that. So a lot of education, a lot of understanding, a lot of giving perspective. Very, very hard for parents to relate to. It's a new generation every few years, right?
Right.
Every few years, we got to relearn the kids. They talk differently. They think differently. They have different worlds. The social media that exists today didn't exist 5 years ago.
But you were saying earlier, like, what is the point of relating to a kid? Like, what I'm saying is, like, I can't use the lingo of this sound. This.
No, I don't mean the lingo.
No, I'm saying, should we relate to kids? I'm saying, maybe I'm saying like this. When I think about raising my kids, right, and they're not kids anymore, they're older, but I really have to keep going out and what's my role here in this process? My role is not to understand every struggle. My role that I see is that I have to be the backbone, and especially as the father, I feel like my kids have to feel like someone's got their back no matter what. Like if the world's coming at them, I got you. I was the other day, not the other day, I thought of this years ago, but I think I was mentioning on another podcast that at the end of the first bracha, since we're doing the first bracha of Shemona Esrei, we say Magen Avram. He's the shield of Avram, which is funny because he mentions a couple other things in the bracha where he's helping this. The shield is not very much help. It's I'm going to protect you, but you got to fight. Mm-hmm. Like it's not the spear. Mm-hmm. Like wouldn't we want Hashem to be our spear, fight our fights for us? No, it's Hashem's got our back. So when I think about like how I'm supposed to raise my kids, I got your back. Do I understand why you're dealing with, I don't know, gender dysphoria? I don't know, whatever your kids are fighting out. Do I have to really understand it?
I don't know.
My job is to like just be your backbone.
So I don't know that we could understand it.
I don't think that's what I'm saying. Maybe why are we trying?
I think what we're trying to do is understand what they're struggling with. Like we talked a little bit about earlier about how we're having, things have shifted and now we're having more and more kids that are isolating and staying in their rooms. It used to be they were going out and getting themselves into trouble more. Now we have more and more kids that are staying in their rooms.
Now we dream of our kids getting in trouble.
Like go out and do something.
At the pizza shop.
Yeah, go out to the pizza shop. Go meet some friends.
Go make some real trouble like real kids.
And if we're not understanding that that's a reality of how a challenge looks today, so we end up in a place of resentment, a place of anger, a place of self-blame, a place of depression. We start asking our kids, "What are you doing? Just get out of your room. Right? Just stop it.
Right?
Stop it.
That's what I say. Stop it."
There's something about the dynamic that's happening in kids today. I saw the shift when it started in COVID. That's when I saw that.
What did you see in COVID?
The kids started isolating. I didn't see it before COVID. I'm sure it existed, but I didn't really see it. It wasn't coming into our office so much.
Okay. I mean, I was seeing a lot because I think the internet definitely started that.
So maybe in Lakewood, it was like
the internet just turned on in COVID.
Right. Yeah, it did. It turned on in COVID.
Maybe it wasn't COVID, it was the internet.
We can blame things on the internet, and there's social media is not helping kids' lives out. It's not helping kids' lives out. I'm allowed to talk about whatever I want here now, right?
Yeah, please.
I think he's one of the worst people in the world. What's his name from Facebook?
Mark Zuckerberg?
Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay. Hold on. Let me just do something here.
Somebody who's like became one of the wealthiest people.
Yeah.
By providing ways for people to be dysfunctional. Not only dysfunctional, but refuses to allow you to filter the dysfunction. There's no filters on Zuckerberg's platforms.
Okay.
And not am I going to hand feed you ways that you can be removed from society. You don't have to interact with people. You don't have to go out of your house. But I'm going to not just provide you that opportunity. I will not allow you to filter it.
So why? I mean, that's the whole internet, no? Or are you saying?
No, you can filter your iPhone. You can filter.
But if you're on that platform,
you can filter them. What do they call those? The 3D stuff. What do they call those things? The Oculuses.
yeah, it's called not augmented reality. It's
the 3D.
now I'm forgetting it because you know what
I
I'm
can't
saying.
remember anything anymore. So it happens at our age.
Virtual reality.
Virtual reality.
VR.
So I got one for the office, right? For the waiting room.
How cool. Sorry.
And then can't
Get rid
use
of
it
it?
because you can't filter it.
You can't filter the
Cannot filter
Oculus?
them. You cannot filter them. And I had it brought to like all sorts of tech guys. Can you install some sort of filter? No such thing. So we're creating ways for kids, specifically for kids. Most of the stuff is created for kids, teenagers. Like they're not created for people our age, right? How many social media platforms are you on? Well, you have a podcast.
I have a podcast I have to be on.
Yeah, that's about it.
I post on several. Sometimes I look at Instagram.
Okay.
I will tell you this. This blew my mind. Two of my kids just got off of it. I'm saying if you know a little bit about me, I'm just not the type to be like, you got to make your own decisions, kind of. Two of my kids just turned it off. They were like, this is just a waste of time. Actually, my son, Gav, who edits this podcast, I didn't know this till recently. YouTube, he watches YouTube. He has a feature that shut off the shorts.
Oh, really?
It can only look at long YouTubes.
Oh, that's so
He's
cool.
like, I get stuck forever. I don't want to be there. I'm like, how is my son wiser than me? Like,
Yeah,
how did this happen? He will watch full length videos, but he will not. The reels, he's like, this, it's just meaningless. There's nothing happening with the shorts.
And that's another example about like psychoeducation, because most of the time parents that come into our office, they think the problem is the internet or their kid's phone.
Right.
That's how they're presenting it. And it's our job to tell them, no, the internet or the phone is how your kid is struggling, not why your kid is struggling. Your kid is struggling and not happy, and that's why they're so desperate to find reprieve, to find relief, to find distraction, to find something that's non-triggering, to find something that they can like just completely zone out and not have to deal with their stuff. So what they're looking for a lot of times, if we could just get rid of the stupid phone,
Right.
then all their problems will go away. And that's not really the case. You got rid of the stupid phone, they're going to be very desperate to find another phone. That's what usually happens. And if they don't have that phone, you'll probably have some other issues that are, there's a lot of other stuff that are going on with kids. They'll be sneaking out or starving themselves or self-harming.
So are you finding, because I'm going to go back to the I completely agree with everything you're saying here with it's not being this, it's the symptom, not the cause. I really agree with that. Are you finding people listening? Like we talk about the chefs in the kitchen. Are you finding people listening to the advice you're giving?
We have a lot of parents that come to our groups, and the parents that there's usually a transition stage where sometimes they're really challenging you. Sometimes they're looking at you with distrust. You can kind of see them looking at each other and elbowing each other. We insist that both parents come to our support groups because we want them both on the same page. It doesn't always happen because it just doesn't work. Like many times the father has a chavrusa. You know what that means?
Yeah, he has a chavrusa. He's not coming.
Yeah, you know what that means, that they have a chavrusa.
No, what is it?
It means they're not comfortable being vulnerable enough, showing up at a group.
Oh.
Who's more important, their kid or the chavrusa?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Right,
It's better to help your kids.
Right? I have to be careful. I don't want to get them, maybe somebody has chavrusa. He's learning he's got to share the next day, and that's his job. So
Right.
there's always exceptions. And there's reasons why people can't come. There's bedtimes and but we see a shift after they're there for a while, and it starts clicking, and they start actually seeing results. Instead of fighting with their kids where the relationship is not working and it's not producing results, it's not producing, the kids are not functioning better because they're fighting, they're not becoming more respectful. A lot of parents are hung up on kibbud av v'em. They just can't talk to me like that. That's true. Well, what are you going to do? Like, how many times are you going to say that to a kid?
Right.
How's that helping you to keep being a broken record player? When you start learning what forms of communication do work. You were telling me before about mama bear therapy.
I said big mama therapy.
Oh, big mama therapy.
Mama bear is good too. We do mama bear. for the Lakewood chavra, it's a mama bear.
I think a lot of parents need to go back to that. They need to go back to that.
I actually, it's very interesting because Yom Kippur's coming up, right? And I am actually thinking more Judaism than usual, in the last week or so, because we're in the middle of it. And I find it interesting how we keep, okay, this is going to sound terrible, because the Christians, they're very into like follow Jesus. Like, what would Jesus do is like a line, which is, it's Christian, so we can't learn from that. But what I'm saying is, we came up with that first. We're supposed to be like God.
Following
What
Hashem's
would
ways.
God do? So actually, this is a little thing I was thinking about Yom Kippur, which is when they study PTSD. So I find this wild, and I've seen it a lot. And this is a hot take. So we're shifting a little, but not so much. You'll see. But when they study PTSD, there's observing, let's say, your friend getting shot, and that's a terrible, terrible trauma. And then there's you shooting somebody. And all the studies show that you shooting somebody is actually more trauma than you getting shot or your friend getting shot. It actually, and we see it in our line of business, and this is something that people don't talk about so much, but when someone, let's say, gets molested, but then goes and perpetrates and molests someone else. What I found is, like, we keep talking about those people. Now, obviously, if they're too old, but there are a lot of people that are young that are still experimenting and this and that. The trauma of you being the monster. Meaning, I could forgive the monster. Charlie Kirk just died, right? And then I'm going off on another thing. But Charlie Kirk died, and I don't know, did you see his wife's speech?
She forgave his killer.
And she said, "I forgive you."
Yeah.
And it was very emotional and a really wild, special thing. But I was thinking, it's easier to forgive another monster and way harder to forgive our own monster. Meaning, so somebody could say, I forgive the person who hurt me, but I have to turn them into a monster. That I forgive that monster, but what if I am that monster? Mm-hmm. What if I hurt someone else? And what I was thinking about Yom Kippur is that if you want to emulate God, you have to forgive yourself. Like, God sees past, like, what's tshuva? He sees past your deeds. He sees straight to your neshama. He sees your bad deeds as lessons of wisdom instead of lessons. So you could turn them into wisdom instead of turn them into sins and keep them going. So that was my thinking, is that, like, emulating God in a way that we learn how to forgive ourselves, and then we can move forward, like, in our lives. That was my thinking for Yom Kippur. But I was thinking about this thing with parenting, is that I think there has to be more talk of what would God do? What does God do for his people? His people were rebellious. His people were this. What does God do? Like, because a lot of this, like, understanding your kids, and it doesn't make any sense to me. How could one generation ever understand another generation? Look, I had this thing because I'm in the addiction world, so everybody just assumes I did all the drugs and I did all this, and they want me to share. What did I do? And I don't really want to. And I don't think it is. And guys like, well, if you don't tell me what you do, how are you going to understand what I did? I said, I will never understand you. Your life circumstances are radically different than mine. If I just did a certain substance the same way you did that substance, I did it in the 90s when that substance was barely even doing anything to us. What you guys doing is heroin now. What I'm saying is like, I'm rambling, but the idea is like, God just takes care of us. This is the big mama therapy. Like we walk in, we say, how could you just hold me? Like when you're dealing with parents, you're saying not like how to fix what they're doing. What does God do? He's our shield. He's our protector. He's our lover. He holds us. He doesn't make our decisions for us. I feel like it's the hardest thing to tell parents, but like I feel like that is, I'm wondering if that is similar to the message you're giving. Is like you have to get back to your role of what you're supposed to be doing for this person's life, and this person is different than you, has a different neshama than you, has to make those moves. These are things that I think about. Like when I'm talking to parents now, it's very different than the past when I was like trying to like get them to manipulate their kids in certain ways and do it, and it's not those discussions.
Right.
Now it's like, well, what would God do?
Right.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I rambled a lot there, but
Well, I agree with you. It's not fun when you're not challenging me.
yeah, like bring
You're
it.
supposed to be challenging.
No, we're gonna agree. I find that it's interesting because there's a lot of people in this field, and everybody thinks we're disagreeing, but you can't be in this field for 25 years without agreeing 90% of everybody else who's in it, because we all seen the same thing.
Right.
We've all tried to force our kids and done the tough love, and it just doesn't do it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's going back to like, you're a therapist also, and you're dealing with parents and you're dealing with kids. And I think there's well, this is what I see. There's this shift that happens between when they first are acknowledging that there's a problem, first reaching out for help, and then when they actually start understanding, like what you said, what their role is, what they need to do. Initially they're looking for expert advice, and they think it's on them to fix it.
Right.
If I just find the right therapist, if I just find the right doctor, if I find the right yeshiva, if I find the right program, if I find the right tzaddik, medicine, I'll go to a kobold, they'll like explain it to me, and then I can fix my kid.
Right.
Or I can fix myself. I think it's the same as true when people are reaching out for help. They're looking for answers.
Right.
And the people that really are able to help people is not necessarily the people that you find that are like considered the who's who as far as experts. And I want to explain myself.
Doling out solution people?
The doling out solution people. I don't find that they really are able to work through what needs to happen in order to be able to help this process, like journey through this. That's all. If there's like a magic fix, just find the right recipe and we can plug it in. The people that are really helping people, and in my opinion, those are the real therapists, we're looking for one ingredient, and that's humility.
So you just knocked out all the psychiatrists in one shot. I'm just kidding, psychiatrists. Keep going.
No, there's probably some good psychiatrists.
So good.
I think I met one.
Humble psychiatrist. Okay.
You talk about having a real relationship, you got to get your ego out of there. It's not about you. It's not about what you think is right for them. It's about being able to understand what my role is, how I can help you through this, how I can maybe even get out of the way while you find your own process, how I can stop trying to change you, or I stop trying to figure out what went wrong. You don't find that all the time people are always saying, like, if I could only just figure out what happened, then I'm going to fix it. And that's not so important to me, what happened. What happened, happened. If we're doing trauma work and we want to fix something because a person still feels terrible about themselves because of something that happened, so then let's come to terms with it.
Well, I will tell you as a tool, I know Avi Fishoff does. It's like every kid really got molested. You know, like if you say every kid, as a tool for parents, like a second a parent finds out their kid got molested,
then they start having Rahmanas on
They
them.
have Rahmanas. I feel like we should make up that all the kids, just like your kid told me they got molested, and then we could just change it. No, but I'm saying it's a cheap tool. I think it's a cheap tool because
I think there's multiple factors. I think if everything else was going on right in that kid's life, perfect, I don't think they would have fallen apart that way. I think there's always going to be multiple factors.
Yeah, always.
So I don't believe that there's any one cause. We live in a difficult time, and it goes back to what we were talking about originally, about some of the challenges of living in today's world. But you're talking about like when people need to shift into what my role is or what I could do or how I can deal with, a lot of it is how I can deal with myself. So with the parents, it usually goes away, the shift veers away from what do I do about the situation to what do I do for myself? How I'm going to take care of myself, how I'm going to be mechazik myself, how I can be a happy person, how I can give off good vibes, how I can connect even though there's problems here. And to me, it's all about connection. It goes back, it's kind of full circle with what we're talking about. I just had this in Shul on Shabbos. A guy came over to me. He's a really good guy. He's a great guy. Baltznock, caring person. He'll never turn you down for anything. And he says to me, what do you think about paying the guys to keep Shabbos? And like I said, a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have said anything. I'm like, I don't know. I have my opinions, stuff that work for me, you find stuff that work for you. And I told him it's not a good idea. He says, why do you say that? I said, I'm doing it long enough. I don't think it works. They'll bleed you dry and they're going to stop keeping Shabbos when you stop paying them. He says, but what do you mean about just get the engine rolling? I said, well, the engine was rolling at some time and then it stopped. There's an issue here.
Right.
Got to figure out like how to connect them to Shabbos. You can't just pay them to keep Shabbos. And he says, I did it for someone and it worked. I asked him, why did it work? He said, because somebody cared. He said, I showed him somebody cared. So I said, why can't you just show him that somebody cares? So we got caught in these. You didn't hear that version of that, and pay them to put on tefillin, pay them to keep Shabbos.
Always.
We didn't. This isn't rehearsed before. Do you think it works? Did you
No,
find
it does not work.
There's a lot of people doing it. There's a lot of stuck money getting wasted on it.
So I'll tell you something interesting. I'll tell you what you think, because parents are always asking me all these different things, but one of them is very interesting, and I came up with man. I came up with this very interesting way of looking at it. Where people come on, okay, how do I give my kid money? You know, like, what do I give my kid money? It's like a discussion. So I broke it down to 3 parts. There's 2 easy ones and 1 hard one. The easy ones are I give them all the money they want, whatever they want. I just give them all the money. Here you go. Here's all the money. Tell you the truth, that's what I do. But okay, well, I'm saying my kids don't use the money, but they have access to money if they want. And then the other option is no money. I'm giving you no money. Those are 2 easy ones. You never have to change your mind. You stick with it. That's it. You never have to make a decision. The only thing you're asking me is I want to make it somewhat in the middle. They don't get all the money, but they don't get no money. So how do I do that? And then this is where it gets tricky, because now it's based on, did you keep Shabbos? Did you put on tefillin? Did you do this? Even just giving them an allowance was a thing. This was a big trigger for me as a kid. Like as a kid, I was supposed to get a certain allowance, but every time I messed up, I didn't get that allowance. So I never got my allowance at any point, my whole childhood, a teenage life, because I just always messed up at some point during the week, so I lost it. But if it's on condition, then it becomes a big thing. So what I tell parents is that I say, ask them what they think they need, irrelevant of how they're doing well or not well. Ask them what they need. Then give them a little more than that and say, we'll talk about it in 2 months. If you need more, we'll discuss it. And that's the whole thing. That's how you figure out the middle zone. You see, because they're going to underestimate how much they need because they're actually more respectful than you think. And then you're going to give them a little more, and then they're going to hit them more, and they're not going to have enough. And there's going to be discussion. But you gave them what they wanted plus a little, and then it's a discussion in 2 months. What I always found is like parents will be like, well, they'll say, okay, I give this kid money. Should I give my kid a car? I said, did you give his older brother a car? Yeah. Well, he's in yeshiva. He's learning. I'm like, why is he not getting the car? Meaning the idea is you could take what you're saying. They need to feel loved and cared about. And you messing around with the money has a lot of negative effect on that because now it's on condition, no condition, this. So that's what I was saying. I was curious what you thought about the 3-prong idea for money. I don't know.
I was going to say something very similar to you.
Yeah.
And I actually heard this from one of the parents in my group, and I tell it to people all the time. So I don't think people should give their kids money indiscriminately if they're using it for if the kids if it's not helping them. If a kid takes all the money you just gave them and just went and bought scratch-offs with it, like what's the point? They're going to come over and ask you for $200 every time you see them. And I know kids that kind of overuse this. Like, I think it's an individualized question. If they're going to take the money you give them give them $1,000 and they're going to buy drugs to be a dealer with, like I wouldn't want to be a part of that.
That's the unlimited money thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a part of that. Though those that argue with me, they'll say that if you give them everything, then they won't need to buy drugs. So, like, we're kind of getting into...
sat with Avi, and he does believe kind of in the unlimited approach. I'm not so off of it. I think you only need unlimited approach when you need to fix something that's really, really broken.
So I think it's individualized when there's different situations call for different things. But in general, I think parents should give their kids money, especially the more struggling kids, every time they leave the house. Kids should never have no money in his pocket. If he goes to the store with his friend to go to a pizza shop and he's got no money, he's either going to borrow from somebody and he doesn't have the money to pay back, or he's going to take the pizza for not paying, or they're going to do something else that's probably not so kosher in order to get the money.
Right.
You don't want to give them money for cigarettes. Now, if they're going to smoke, they're going to smoke. So it's the same thing. Either they'll be borrowing money for the cigarettes or they'll be selling vapes so they can get money for cigarettes.
So what's the difference between smoking and scratch-offs?
If they bought $1,000 worth of cigarettes and threw it all in the garbage, I would say you're kind of wasting your money. But this is a normal social thing that kids do is that they smoke. So, like, it is what it is. You're not going to stop that.
I think you're stepping. I think because if you're basing it on whether it's good or not,
so some of the stuff
everybody's discretion.
Yeah, and it is at everybody's discretion.
That's why I say pick an amount, and then they'll be like, okay, I need this amount.
So yeah, what I tell the parents is sit down with the kid, ask him how much money he needs,
right,
and then say, I'm going to open a bank account for you and deposit that much plus an extra $100 every month into your account. Whatever you don't use is yours to keep.
Right.
And now you're teaching them how to save up money. They want to save up money. And they'll start learning how to budget that way. Every time they start going out, am I like, well, should I buy my vape at the convenience store where it's double the price, where I can get like a whole stack of them? Like, you're actually teaching them how to budget a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't need 3 slices of pizza if we're only going to eat 1.
Right.
And a lot of these kids are like that. They're just like, buy whatever, because they don't know how to be responsible. They haven't learned that skill yet.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to teach them. If you tell them you're in charge of your own money, but I'm going to give it to you and you can keep whatever you have left over. I think that's always been excellent advice.
That's good. Yeah.
And you can save up money that way.
Yeah. So I was saying about all the different chefs is that, like, you could say, I guess if you have them in a group, that's the best, because now they've gone through a process with you. I will say, as I'm in this longer, it's harder and harder because I used to spend much more time with people and be able to process it, and we'll have a couple of sessions together. And now it's like there's so many people calling, I'm becoming the advice giver. And I kind of hate it. Like, I got to yes, I could give good advice, but again, are they going to take it and not going to take it? Even if they do take it, am I getting all the details right? I feel like the group model is the absolute best model. That's awesome. What's with the IOP, by the way?
So we opened our IOP exactly a year ago. We opened with the girls program.
Mazel tov, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
1 year. Well, like right before Yom Tov last year?
Right before Rosh Hashanah. Yeah.
Terrible time. You got to open after. All right, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right before Rosh Hashanah. And we opened our boys program right before Purim. And they have separate hours. It's a beautiful, beautiful facility. Probably the nicest IOP PHP in New Jersey. Really, really beautiful.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's the focus there? Like, what's the...
So for all these kids, there's a gap in services.
Wait 1 second. So there's PHP is partial hospitalization program. IOP is intensive outpatient.
Yeah, when people hear hospital, they think they get scared off. I wish they had a different name for it.
It just means more outpatient.
It's more IOP.
Yeah.
IOP is typically 3 days a week for like 3 hours a day. Partial hospitalization is five days a week for up to 5 hours a day.
It's like a school day.
It's like a school day.
Like a secular school day.
Yeah. So our girls program is from 11 to 3. Our boys program is from 3:30 to 7:30, which we just extended the hours a drop. And there's a gap in services. If someone is generally kind of doing okay, but they have something they need to work on, you can send them for outpatient therapy once a week. Sometimes, rarely, they'll go for outpatient therapy twice a week. But if they're struggling to the point that they're not able to function, they're not making it to school, they're not interacting with friends, they're staying in their room, they need the next level of care. And the Frum community just hasn't had it until this point.
Right.
And I'm just, again, like, I'm very fortunate that I was in the right place at the right time. It's another kind of gift that Hashem sent my way, was somebody who had a heart for this. Shiggy Rosenberg, he says this is a need. And not only is it a need, but we can find a way that we can bill for it, and it won't be another burden on the community, and we'll be able to provide a vital service to the community. And it's wonderful. Like, when somebody is really able to be in a therapeutic setting all day or for multiple hours during the day, it's very, very different than showing up once a week. The time your therapy is like develops some steam, you're kind of winding down already.
Are these people that are doing things like in school, or it's a mix of like people that are doing things?
So if they're coming 5 days a week, so they're usually not in school.
Right.
So usually getting the kids that are staying in the room, or just really depressed, or coming from the hospital, or very, very anxious, or they're not functioning in their house settings. There's something that's really going on that's usually not really excelling in school. And we step them down after they're there for a few weeks and they're doing well, and they start being ready to integrate, to go back to school. So go back to school for 1 day of the week, or go back to school for a few hours a day.
Are schools working with you about that?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really nice. Really, really
That's
nice.
really good.
Such a shift. You talk about shifts in community.
Right. You imagine when we started, they would work with it? Like, that's crazy.
We were
couldn't
on
even
the
get them in the
outside.
same room.
Yeah, we were on that. We were like the bad guys.
We were the bad guys.
We were like the rebels.
Right. Yeah, now we're the establishment. It's kind of funny. I never imagined that the schools would be like coming to us like, what do you think? Or like Rabbanim calling us. It's very weird to me.
Yeah.
Like, I really thought we were like fighting the system. Are you seeing a lot of good success with the guys, like integrating them back in, and guys and girls, I'm saying?
We've been very successful. And once they're there they see it working, like if they can get through the first couple weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and they can see that it's really making a difference in their life. We provide psychiatry over there also, so they're getting the right meds. If their mood starts lifting and they start becoming less anxious and they start being able to face themselves more, a lot of it, like you said, is what a person feels about themselves if they feel like they're a bad person. And we're not a skills-based program. Skills-based programs where they're teaching them a lot of skills. They're teaching them let's say, mindfulness. They're teaching them progressive muscle relaxation. They're teaching them DBT skills. They're teaching them how to express themselves appropriately. Our focus is not on skills. Right. We're a trauma-focused program.
Oh, okay, cool.
We want them to be seen. We want them to be heard. We want them to be valued. We want them to know that they have a place. We want them to know that they have a future. We want them to know that no matter what happens to them, they're still important in life. And that's our focus. Our focus is that you're a good person. You're important to us. You're important to society. We believe in you. We see the goodness in you. And we're going to help you see that for yourself.
Wow.
We'll teach them skills along the way. But if a person feels like they're a bad person, a person feels like just bad things happen to me in life.
Right. It's easier to forgive the other monster than to forgive yourself if you're the monster. Yourself.
So go try to teach a monster skills. Well, I'd rather not learn any skills. I'd rather just hide in my room.
Wow. I really love it because I again, it's funny. You think that people like us would be talking all the time. We have these 1 second text messages at best. And I just love sitting down with you and hearing you're just doing all this cool stuff down there. And again, it's the fact that the communities are loving this stuff and not fighting it at this point is just awesome. I love it. Okay, but I'm gonna ask you a question. Just a rooftop question. I don't know if you ever made it to the end of a podcast. My podcast, I always ask this question. If you're standing on top of a rooftop.
Are we tying it down?
I don't know.
I don't know what time we started over here.
Heck yeah, we're turning it down. It's really long, but it was really, okay. I don't know if it ties down, but I have to ask a question before it ends. So I don't know. It could go for who knows how long. But the question is, you're at the top of the roof, you're yelling something to the world. You just want the world is listening. What is it you want to yell to the world? That's the rooftop question.
I don't know that it's a good question for me.
Shoot.
I don't know.
Why not?
That's a good question for me.
You don't want to yell something?
I don't think I do.
What do you want to do?
I don't think I want to yell to the world.
What do you want to whisper? What do you want to whisper to the world?
What do I want to whisper? What would I want to breathe into the world?
What do you want to breathe into the world?
To me, that's a better question.
Okay.
I don't think we can change anything by having a one-time effect, of inspiration. Inspiration lasts only a certain amount of time. We change by experiencing things differently. We started off talking about relationships. We started off talking about connection. And I think there's only one reason why people don't connect, any person doesn't connect with anyone else. And it's their egos that get in the way. We're thinking about our ego, our desires, our wants. We have our own agendas. And many times that's in conflict with somebody else's agenda or need. I have one need, you have a different need, and now we're in conflict. Or now there is no communication. And we create walls around ourselves. And we want to be able to have open doors in our houses, not fortresses. And that's between people, and that's between systems. We have a lot of open doors now. You say how the school systems and Rabbanim are like, we're no longer in a conflict with them. Like so many more people have awareness that there's not one size that fits all, and there's different things. Different people need different things. But if we were able to not think about ourselves, if we were able to say, I want to bring my full self to be able to be there fully for what somebody else needs, we wouldn't have a problem connecting, because we all have the same agenda. I think we all want to be good people. I think we all want to help. We want to live life our fullest, and we want to be able to experience goodness in life and goodness for others. And if that's what we're able to kind of wear on the outside, there wouldn't be so much division. There wouldn't be so much inaccessibility. People would be able to find ways, find opportunity, find resources to be able to help each other out. And that's what I would want to see different or more of, because I think there's a lot of people doing a lot of things. But the more they're not in conflict, the more they're in concert, the more that they're open to how can I better myself by having more awareness and more openness, more goodwill. It's not about the way I think. It's not about the way my agenda. It's not about my needs. It's not about how I think it should be. The more I think we're going to find solutions, and we're going to be able to connect, and we're going to be able to bring people in and help people find themselves and help people be a part of, and everyone can find their place, and then everyone can really feel special and find where they belong and how they can excel and how they can be part of something really special.
I like that. You breathed it into the world. That's what you would breathe in.
That's what I would want to breathe in.
And
that's what I work on. That's what I want to breathe for myself.
That's what you want to work
on. I want to breathe in the opposite of toxicity. I want to breathe in and out. Life, connection. We're all connected. It's the way it is.
I will tell you that it's refreshing to hear it, but I would say it's terrifying. That I am one of the people that like keeps believing that the world's not going to hurt me. And I keep putting it out there and I keep getting hurt. But I'm not saying it doesn't. I mean, it's worked for me ultimately. Like if I look at, I think that's another thing you have to say. In the short term, you do get hurt.
Right.
If I look at my life, it's been a great blessing, and there's been some hurts along the way. But in general, it's been a much better approach to just be like, my ego really is not part of this. I'm open to these ideas. It's one of the beautiful things that I felt, and one of the most proud things I have is that I really love everybody in the field. Like it's really, there are people that don't love me, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for everybody that's doing the work, even if they disagree with my ideas, even if it's like, listen, these people are helping, and that's been a very big blessing in my life, but it's also been a big source of pain for me because I'm always like, hey, let's do something together, and then getting hurt, or let's, but ultimately it worked. I mean, I think there are very few people that don't recognize that I care about them, and like I love working with them and having conversations with them. Even if I don't see you for years and years, I feel connected to you. Like that's how I feel. That's been a big blessing. But I feel like I've been following your advice, but as I'm listening to it, I'm remembering the pain of constantly being open and then
too open.
Other egos crushing me, and then
your doors are too wide open.
I'm opening, and then you get hurt.
Right.
But that being said, as I'm saying, and I'm like, I'm living a wildly amazing life, like a life beyond my wildest dreams. I can never even have dreamed of the life I live right now. It's not even close. Like, I wish I had this imagination when I was a kid of what I could have. And so that's where I'm at, even with all this pain. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I understand why people would be afraid.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that you experienced that, and I don't know if we can avoid pain in our life.
No.
I don't know if we can do that.
But we try. I always want to shut it down. I always say, next time, I'm just going to shut it down. And I don't. Because I just don't want to not trust. Like, I don't really want to live in a world where I just don't trust people. I'd rather get hurt sometimes. But it definitely doesn't feel good when it happens. So I'm listening to what you're saying, and it sounds like opening doors. It's pretty terrifying. Anyway, I'll ask you one more question, which is there something I'm not asking you that you're thinking, you should have asked me that? You don't have to have an answer to this question if you don't want.
Yeah. No, I don't. Nothing off the top of my head. There's so many things that we could talk about. So many different things.
Isn't it cool? Like, you start a podcast, first like 20 minutes, you're like, what are we talking about? And then I feel like I go for another 5 hours.
Yeah.
Because it's just like, oh my God, there's a lifetime of conversation here.
Yeah, this is really cool. I'm not such a talker, really.
Yeah.
I'm more quiet by nature. I listen more.
When was the last time my secret thing is that when do you ever get to have a conversation with somebody for an hour and a half, 2 hours, with someone you respect and you're interested in a conversation with the phones off, full concentration, nobody interrupting,
Right.
and on a weekday too.
Right. The only time we have it is with our clients, and it's not about us.
And it's not right.
Right.
This is like, to me, that's really what I love about this podcasting. I almost want to tell people, like, make podcasts and don't put them out. I have a funny thing I do with my wife. We go out Monday nights tonight. We go out and we do date night. We try to hit like every restaurant because years I worked in our place. I never went out at night. So we're like catching up. So we're going to like every single place. We've already finished all of Monsey. We're going to Teaneck. We're going to Manhattan. Like, we're spreading out. It's getting harder. And then we do a full review. And we do a whole review, but we've never put any of them out. We're never going to put them out.
You record them?
Yeah, we on video. Like, and my wife will taste something and give a whole like description. She's very good at it, and she'll give it. And then I'll taste something. I'll give a description. We'll talk about the restaurant, the service, this, that. We rate it, and then we never put it out. It's just on my phone. So like, I almost want to tell people, like, just make podcasts. Don't put them out. just sit down, make them think you're putting it out.
No, it's really good. I've never done a podcast before, but yeah, this is really special. You created something special here. I feel like I want to leave a piece of myself here, and I'm going to take a piece of you with me.
Nice.
Because I think that coming here and seeing your place, seeing some of the guys that work in your place and some of the people that live there, and the sense of community and the sense of, I don't want to use the word camaraderie. To me, it sounds fake, but it really sticks out to me how you said, we don't have any discipline here, and we don't have any fights here.
Right.
You've brought in an energy. You've set up a dynamic where they have a sense of home, a sense of belonging, a sense of they're at peace here. They can be and they can find themselves. There's nothing to fight for.
Yeah.
And I think this is what we're all trying to do. We don't got to fight. We can just care about each other. We can just say, I need help and you need help, and we're all here to help each other.
Right.
And it's a beautiful thing.
It is nice. And I'm the world should be jealous of addicts. That's what I say. They get to help each other. They know they need help and they help each other. So there's something very beautiful about that. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. This was absolutely awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
To remember to put out, to write in my guest book. This is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really
Thank you
love
for having
this. Thank you.
Okay, we'll do it again in a few years.
Thank you for this day that I've been given. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for this chance
thank you for this chance to live anew.